Hey Rockstars, I'm JB, expert salesperson and master presenter.
I'm the doctor, psychologist, and behavioral expert.
This is the Entrepreneur Mastery Lab podcast. Welcome back to the lab. I'm JB.
I'm the doctor.
If this is your first time joining us here in the EML, welcome, and give us a like, subscribe, follow so we can impact even more people like you. And if you happen to be a returning guest, we appreciate you coming back, listening in, or watching us here on YouTube. So thanks for joining us once more.
Pushing the buttons. The one with the thumbs up is our favorite.
And give us a shout. If you're listening to us, if you're checking us out, we hear from you every now and then, but you just don't communicate as much as I wish you would. I feel like I'm talking to myself sometimes.
Did you say something?
Exactly. That's
Sorry,
what
I must have missed it.
That's what I'm saying, Doc. I don't feel like the communication is going two ways here.
Would you say you are lacking in communication?
I feel a hole like here. There's something missing right here. And maybe it's communication.
I wonder if that could be a good topic for today.
Say no more.
Okay,
I love it.
You got it. Go ahead.
No, you have to. They're not talking to me, and you're not talking to me. Then I'd literally talking by myself. I can't handle that. I'm not built for that.
I feel like that's a dream of yours, though.
To have nobody else talk?
But you just get to talk the whole time, and
who's going to validate me? Come on now.
All right, I'll do the validation piece.
Thank you. I knew I kept you around for a reason. Anybody could be the doctor. Not everybody could be JB.
The way you said that was just amazing. That was top notch.
Real quality communication. That is going to be our topic of today. And if you listened into one of our previous podcasts, you know we're doing a series around all the soft skills that we work with people like yourself, professionals, entrepreneurs to develop and get better at. And communication is a big one, of course, because nothing we do is on our own. We have to communicate with other people. And sometimes it feels like we're not all that good at it.
You're amazing at it. You are a wonderful, top-notch communicator.
You hear that, people? He heard that I wanted to be validated, and he went and validated me. That is fantastic communication.
Right. So you can get what you want when you communicate your needs. It's amazing.
Well, it's a funny thing, though, right? Because I could communicate my needs, or at least think I communicated my needs, but I could fail to do so, or you could fail to actually interpret what I said correctly, which is like the basics of where communication fails, right? I think I said something I didn't say or something I didn't mean to say, and you heard something you wanted to hear versus what was actually said.
So basically any text conversation in a relationship ever?
Yeah. The big reason why I don't like text messaging for serious conversation, right? You could text about stuff, but text is dude, even email's super dangerous for that. No tone, no clarity. You get some of those great phrases that we all love, like what are some of those good business email phrases that you hear from people? Bringing this to the top of the inbox, right? You never freaking responded.
So I have a fun story from we'll leave the identities obviously off the thing, but when a couple I'm working with talking about communication, they were on vacation and they were getting ready to leave the room, packing up, and the wife was upstairs still putting everything together and was packing and was trying to eat something really quick before they left. The husband went downstairs and was getting things ready and sent a text message that just said, Uber 1 minute away. The wife freaked out because had nothing ready. So just started throwing everything in the bag, threw the pizza out, didn't even get to eat it, and ran downstairs like as fast as they possibly could. And the husband was just sitting there chilling, relaxing, like, oh, you're done already? That's amazing. And like, well, you just said the Uber was 1 minute away. So yeah, whenever you're ready, the Ubers are only 1 minute away. I can just order one. So take your time.
That was not where I expected that to go.
Right? And that is the beauty of communication. Of in his mind, he had sent everything he thought, because he'd probably in his head, oh, we don't have to worry about it. There's Uber is only 1 minute away. Take your time.
Now, I guarantee that I'm not the only one that was sitting here listening to that story and thinking he was doing this because the Uber's like 10 minutes away, but he knows his wife won't be ready unless he tells her that it's 1 minute away. And so he's trying to communicate something just to get her to do or show up on time. Right? That was where my head went. And I guarantee other people
And
thought
now
the
we
same
just
thing.
got a good look into JB's marriage and what he believes his wife needs to know. It's all right. She doesn't listen to the podcast. We're fine.
Yeah, but if you're not on YouTube, you probably want to check it out just so you can see my face. I think my face communicated a whole lot that you can't catch on this podcast.
All right, so it was a fun exercise. It became now a running joke for them when they realize they're not communicating well, because that's one of the things we're working on is communication, one of the main things. So now that there's their little running joke when they realize that they're not communicating well, they just kind of say Uber is 1 minute away, and it's a good example for them of maybe they need to be a little bit clearer with what they're trying to say, as opposed to just, especially through text, leave up for interpretation.
So this is an interesting subject in of itself. This idea that we've got a couple who probably spend more time together than they spend with any other individual. I kind of hope overall in their lives is to like spend more time communicating with each other than anybody else. And the communication is bad. In your experience, I mean, you've been doing therapy in a long time. Why are the two people that should be the best able to communicate struggling to communicate?
I mean, there's a whole bunch of stories we can go into on this one. I think the idea is that part of it's the comfortability, right? So when you know the other person, you don't feel you have to explain yourself even as much. Oh, they'll know what I'm talking about, and you make this pretty off base, assumption that just because you know what they're thinking and you think you know what they're thinking, and they think you know you're thinking, that they're going to be able to pick up and read between the lines. It doesn't usually happen that way. Again, especially through something like a text message or an email, where there leads a lot of for interpretation, because we read a lot through body language. So like if it's a couple that's been together a while and you're in the same room together, maybe you're at a dinner table and someone's saying something, you can look across the room generally to your partner, just make a face, and you can pretty much communicate what you're thinking and what you're trying to get to, and they can catch up onto that. So we don't lose how valuable the actual visual field and being able to see the other person actually helps in communication. So you get used to that aspect, and then when you do it in another form, you lose that piece, and it becomes very hard. And that's where we see most troubles with couples or people in general. Business partners, same way too, right? You get that understanding point, and then boom.
What are you really saying, partner?
We do an excellent job of communication. We already talked about that. You are amazing at it. Super fabulous communicator.
I really know he cares when he talks to me like that, everybody. I do know it. I'm thinking about that story you told, and I just I would be so upset if I was hungry and had a pizza in front of me and I threw it out to go rush to catch an Uber. I mean, it would never happen because I just carry it with me on the way to the Uber, but I would be upset.
Fun fact, that was the most upsetting part for the wife, that she is now hangry because she didn't get to eat.
And I do get hangry. A lot of us do. It's the problem with poor communication or bad communication or communication that breaks down is you're going to get upset. Somebody's going to get upset because we're going to think one thing and it's going to be something else. And we don't like to be surprised, do we? Not really.
No, not at all. It's we like to expect what we're going to expect.
And communication's a lot harder than we kind of give it credit for. Again, it's all these skills that we talk about. We talked about awareness already, and we're talking about communication. It's like communication is just so common in our lives that we think because we communicate all the time, we're really good at it. And we could talk and be really poor at communication. We can sit there and try to say something and fail to say it over and over and over again, but we think we said it. And we think everybody around us should understand it. And it doesn't happen. And it's one of the reasons why communication is such an important skill to develop and train. The statistics on this are mind-blowing. Almost $400 billion in productivity is lost every year in the U.S. alone because of poor communication. So it costs businesses nearly $400 billion a year in total because of bad communication. And that could be from a leader to the team. That could be from a manager to the employees. That could be from one partner to another. It's a super expensive issue that needs to be addressed. And the best way to address it is to acknowledge it and then train around it.
That's a lot of money, right?
I think this is the exact statistic, somewhere like $392 billion. It's huge. I mean, that's a bigger number than we can even picture in our minds.
Right. And something as simple, and when you think about it, is communication really could be. But we have that. There is the anxiety around that because, hey, if I say this, what will the other person say? Or I don't want to offend them, or I don't want to put them in a bad mood, or don't want to poke the bear. Everything is going well right now, so it's better if I don't, and it will work out. It will work out. And I've seen the opposite too, right? Where people are actively working on communication, and they get caught up in pieces of making the plan around. I can tell you another good story of another couple I was working with, where they were working really good on their communication, and they always had an issue around shopping for the groceries for the week. So they made a plan on Sunday that they would, go through the refrigerator, do an inventory, create a list, put all the things on the list that they want for the week, and then go to the store and buy it. And it was really working except for one little piece. They got to the part of which vegetables they wanted, and they couldn't communicate that very well because one didn't really care and just kind of wanted to go by, oh, let's just, go see what's at the store. Maybe, just thinking, I don't really care. It's not a big deal for me. And the other one was so caught up in we have to communicate the piece that we put in that they were getting super upset that their partner was not communicating to them in that moment what vegetables they wanted. So they were so caught up on that moment, they just got into big fights at that piece every time. We had to pull back, and I'm like, you're working so well on everything, but there's one piece, but you're not making any adjustments to that one piece to change it. And they were just like dumbfounded that they could change one piece that they had already started working on and fix it. So I'm like, why not rotate who picks the vegetables that week, or wait till you get to the store 1 week, or, figure out a way around it through communication. Oh, what else can we do here to make that work? Instead, they just kept having that argument every week, because they couldn't communicate that piece was the one that needed to be changed because they were working so hard on improving that communication.
And if I had a guess, I think a lot of our communication issues, like what you just described, I think a lot of that comes from when we're kids, because we adopt so much and we pick up so much from when we're kids. And I've got just the funniest story that I've experienced recently is I had my sister over with her dog, and the dog was doing something wrong. So the dog's name, the dog has the weirdest name ever. I love my sister, I love her dog, but Lucky Bandit. They couldn't settle on one name for the dog, her and my nephew. So they named it 2 names. Lucky Bandit. I've never heard a dog with a name like that. Anyways, long story short, dog was doing something wrong. I yelled, Lucky, Lucky. And I yell in a certain way, right? You get his attention. I kind of bellow. And I swear to you, Doc, across the house, this happens. I just hear my kid, who's in his room with his door shut. My kid goes, Lucky. It's Lucky. Every time I yell Lucky, he's yelling Lucky in the background. And I'm like, man, my kid is totally picking up my communication style. And I can fast forward 30 years and I can picture my kid yelling something to somebody else's dog in the exact same voice, or even his dog, the same voice that I'm using there. So much of what we pick up communication wise comes from our experiences as children. And so many of the issues that we deal with, we develop at a really early age. It's crazy to me how that happens, but we see it over and over again, even in the way that we say things, the things that we say, the sayings that we use. I can attribute back to the way my dad spoke, or what he said, or what my mom would say. It's crazy.
And I bet your son also probably learned another lesson that the dog taught him. Is like, if you don't say my whole name, I'm not listening. You're just calling me Lucky. That's not me. I'm Lucky Bandit. So if you want me to stop, you got to call me by my whole name. So I'm sure you're going to watch out. He's going to be learning that same lesson.
Maybe. I like Especially to think the dog responded to my voice. I've got one of those angry voices that the dog responds to. I think
we should not respond to anger. We should respond to motivation and authority.
Anger is totally motivating in the right circumstances. Don't kid yourself. I lead by fear.
Not effective communication.
It's a form of communication. It's probably
It's
it's
a
not
form,
the
but
most
not an
effective.
effective form.
Not the most effective. It can be effective for a period of time. It works in the military.
I mean, it worked for Darth Vader until he killed all the people around him.
Yeah, but I mean, he was still around. Anyways, communication. We pick up bad habits as children, or we pick things up as children. I should say, good or bad, we pick things up. And sometimes what we pick up isn't the most effective tools to use in communication. And so if we don't actively work towards building up better communication skills, we end up with the same communication skills over and over again that might not be as good as they need to be. And unfortunately, that leads to huge costs in our personal and business lives. It's why it's such a freaking important skill for people to focus on. And it's what we'd like to zero in on as one of the top skills in Evolve Performance and Development. That's right. Good timing there, Doc, with that one. So if you haven't worked on communication and you are struggling to feel heard, not when you have the opposite problem of me, because Doc obviously hears me, then this is probably a skill that you need to take some time to invest into to get a little bit better at.
Yeah, and that's why it's one of our top skills. As we talked about before, if you're looking for us, you can find us at our website. You can learn more about Evolve Performance and Development, and you can scroll right down there and you can see those soft skills that we focus on. And communication is right there, one of the main ones.
It's a big one. It's a big one. So if you're still listening in, if you haven't given us that like, subscribe, follow already, go ahead, give us that bad boy. I'm just asking right now, I'm not yelling. Lucky, give us a subscribe, please. It's so we can impact more people just like you. And we appreciate you tuning in. Once again, some great guests coming up in the next few podcasts. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to some of our guest interviews, go ahead, circle backwards or zero in on us next week because we got a good one coming up.
And sometimes you want to go the other way. I mean, so if you want to communicate with us through social media or the like, you can always find us at JB and the Doctor. Or you can find us at jbandthedoctor.com. You can shoot us a message. We have a little thing there that says, hey, send a message. You can always slide into our DMs. But
there it is. I knew it was coming, man. You always ask for the slide.
Got to slide into the DMs, baby. But sometimes, there's just sometimes where you don't want to communicate. And in the great words of Jimmy Buffett, right now, I want to go incommunicado. So let's get the heck out of here.
Later, folks.
Peace out, yo.